Hey, Mistakes listeners, this is Dave, and welcome back. Once again, we are reviewing another kid's show. This week we reviewed, or say watched, and then reviewed Lego Ninjago. This episode was recorded on 10/12/2015. That's right, it's October, which is awesome. This would be episode 29. And as you know, we'd love to have your comments, your feedback, anything that you liked or disliked. You can do that at our social media locations. You can follow us on Twitter at Parent Mistakes. And you can like us on Facebook at Parenting Mistakes. Sit back and enjoy the show.
So you like to play video games.
I do.
You play on the PC and you play on a console.
I do.
Still.
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we also play some video games here, and we don't endorse any particular gaming system. At least Parenting Mistakes does not. But we can discuss them.
Sure.
So we have a PlayStation 3, and it has been moved to the garage because it was acting up. It still plays video games.
What? Is it being punished or something? Or?
Well, no, we have a setup out in the garage too.
The PlayStation 3 was growing consciousness.
No, it was.
It was asking for dinner.
It doesn't play DVDs anymore, it was our DVD player in the house.
Gotcha.
So it got moved to the garage.
Okay.
My son, who is my middle child, he is 14. He wants to buy a PlayStation 4. Which, for those of you who don't play video games, is one of the latest and greatest video game systems to go along with the Xbox One, made by Microsoft.
Mm-hmm.
Both of these consoles are somewhere in the neighborhood of $300 to $400.
PlayStation 4 just had a price reduction. You know that.
Did it?
Yeah, it did.
Okay.
Yep.
Still a chunk of money.
Sure. But it's cheaper than it was, say, a month ago.
Okay, well, yeah. But for a 9th grader who doesn't have a lot of cash.
And obviously been paying his sister to do his chores.
He has been paying his sister to do his chores every once in a while, as we discussed in our previous episode.
That's right.
We are, as parents, always in the encouraging to save mode. Save for college, save for vehicles, save for a house. That sort of thing. So, do we allow him to save up and buy, which is something that is a fairly big ticket item?
Oh yeah, no, there's no bones about it. No, it's a big deal. It's like buying a TV, right?
Yes.
There's a big process to it, and you've got to check against other brands. I mean, there are 3 very popular consoles on the market right now, and every time I've made a purchase, it's always been a big deal.
Yes. But it's more pressing, I think, sometimes as a parent because, we say, all right, as much as I enjoy video games every once in a while, and I know you enjoy video games, this is not necessarily an ideal purchase for a high schooler to make. It's not an edifying purchase.
Okay.
Right?
Sure.
As much as we can say, hey, this is enjoyable, it's certainly not something where you say, yes, he's definitely going to be a better person because of this.
Yeah, it's sort of like that's a tough one because there actually now are careers that are involved in playing games, right? There are people out there that are. There's literally a guy last week who bought a $3 million home, and all he does is streams Minecraft from his house. He's become so good at playing Minecraft that he's able to purchase a $3 million home on the beach.
Yes.
And it's just streaming. But that's, that is the 1%. I'm not going to put a stat to it, but it's a smaller percentage of gamers, for very obvious reasons, that are actually making cash doing it.
Right.
That might be the counter argument to saying that it's edifying. Other than perhaps he gets to let steam go, right? Like it's time to relax and I just let some things go.
Yeah, well, that's that's a myth anyway. So
What's a myth?
that doing things, if you engage in aggressive activities to let off steam, all you're really doing is creating a pattern of engaging in certain activities to let off steam.
Really? You'd see that in Minecraft?
Well, maybe not Minecraft.
Wow,
Minecraft
I mean that's like the most popular
low-key.
game right now. I'm
I know
telling you.
it is. I know it is.
It's like playing Legos, and you're saying
No,
that.
I get that.
Okay.
I'm
just saying.
It creates a pattern.
But what you're saying is he's probably going for the first-person shooter. Like I need to go in there and shoot crap, and it makes me feel better, and that's probably not the case, is what you're saying.
Well, and that's another dilemma, is that those are the types of games that he's very interested in right now, which we're still as parents not comfortable with totally.
Sure, totally get that. So
there you go. I got no solution for you, but a dilemma that we have.
Yeah, totally. No, I get it. My daughter has a lot of attention issues. She does not have ADD or anything like that, but she does have a hard time kind of locking into things, or she struggles with getting from point A to point C or point Z, whatever you want to call it. And we've let her play quite a bit of Monkey Ball on the GameCube. And that actually has been very positive for her, because she's been able to work out of a lot of her stressful emotions that come up, and will actually break from the game. So we play with her. So let me back up. It's not like, hey, Kayleen, go into this room by yourself and do this thing by yourself. It's more or less, hey, this actually kind of helps her go down a path, right? Video games are interesting in that I think one of the better policies that I think parents are discovering as they go forward is, are you willing to play with your child? Or is this just another avenue to stare at another screen? Right?
Yes.
I think it actually is. I think it's edifying if you're playing with others. If you're actually having an interactive experience with folks, or you're sitting on the same couch as somebody, it's similar. Now, of course, I'm a video game guy. I could say the same thing about sports. I could care less about sports. I see absolutely no value in them whatsoever. And this is where you and I completely diverge.
Right.
But I would say in his case, kind of that isolationist, kind of like, this is what I want to do with my private time. I'm going to be alone in the garage or wherever he's going to be. That's a bummer, right?
Well, and there is also the sort of the standard adolescent, I've got to have the latest thing because it's the latest thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sure, with technology we could get off on a whole discussion about, yes, new technology is, if you're a video game person, a new console, yes, has better graphics, better sound, better everything. It is a superior product.
Sure.
However, there's still plenty of entertainment to be had, even with the older system that he currently has.
You're absolutely correct. And actually, a PlayStation 3's got a lot of great cooperative games. You could totally play with your son on that system. But I understand his argument at the same time. Here's the question I would have for you. And this is kind of perhaps a love and logic question, but whose money is it anyway? Does he have the money?
He has some.
Okay, but he can't just sit down and plop down and say, I've got $350 to purchase a PlayStation 4.
No, not necessarily. And it's just a matter of, let's say he does save some money, through allowance, gets a few, odd jobs here and there, gets money for Christmas and birthday. Do you allow a child to spend, if he gets up to that dollar amount, do you allow him to spend a big chunk of his money? Because especially, and you remember this.
Oh, sure.
You remember this as you get into high school, because he's in high school, you start to do a few social events. And as parents, we as a general rule don't just hand our kids cash.
Mm-hmm.
Like we say, okay, if it's a school event, if it's a church event, we may fund it, but say you want to go to the movies with your buddies, we're probably going to say you have to pay for that. And, rather than spending $6 on popcorn, sneak some snacks in from home, which is not something you should do, parents. You should.
Yeah.
It is possible that I may have taken a snack or two from home.
Yeah, side note, it's really cool that Disney lets you have food. That's nice, by the way.
Yes.
It's the only place I know that allows you to have as much food in there as you want, with the exception of having a beer.
Well, yeah, not officially. If you look at their policy, by the way, it sort of discourages you from bringing food. They just aren't going to make an issue of it.
Huh. Well, we went with full tons of food.
Oh,
right?
we do too. We did too.
Right, and they search your backpack. It's not like they don't know.
Yeah, if you tried to roll a cooler and a barbecue in there, then they'd stop you and say, "No, I'm sorry. Go back to the parking lot." All right, we got to get to our show.
No, I find this topic fascinating because
Yeah,
I'm not
I know.
exactly sure how I'm going to tackle this one.
Yeah.
Right? Like, again, the video game thing is interesting. The money thing is interesting because ultimately, whose money is it? It's a great question. I mean, if you really look at it, if he blows his wad, I guess he doesn't see a movie for the next year.
Yes, but also...
That's never going to work.
Right, but as parents, we are also... I feel like we're charged with teaching them a certain amount of money management to the point where you say, okay, you don't spend once you reach a certain amount of money. You spend... Disposable income comes from your plenty.
Sure. Yep.
Not the moment you get to this dollar amount, now you can just go blow all of it. You say, okay, I can go to a movie because I have a certain amount of disposable cash. And that's it.
But here's the deal. The minute he gets out... So if he never learns to... That's the question. If he never learns this, if he never blows his wad, then what happens when he gets out to the real world and he doesn't have you guys and he goes, now I'm going to blow my wad? Is he going to be sleeping on your doorstep at that point?
Well, it's a fair question. The question is this his own version of the real world already?
Yeah, well, that's something you keep on talking about with Emma, for sure.
Right.
You've brought that up in the past year. You've talked about, hey, Emma's making, what did you call it? Life decisions?
Well, sure.
But Jonathan's, 13?
He's 14.
He's There's no life decisions at 14. Okay, that's terrible to say. That's terrible to say. I just had to say.
It is true in terms of there aren't any career and that sort of thing decisions.
Yeah.
At 14. All right.
Oh, okay, so I was having trouble with this particular word, and you said it was Ninjago.
Ninjago.
See, I'm still having trouble.
Lego
Ninjago.
Well, they said it during the episode.
It's again...
Ninjago.
Okay, here's the problem, is that, and I think I don't know if you've known this, but I have dealt with dyslexia throughout my entire life. And so when I read or see words, this is one of the reasons why I never say anything right. Right? Like I'll just say my own Dave Kidney version of the word. It's because I have a hard time looking at the word itself. So it comes out whatever I feel like it should be, which in this case looks like Ninjago.
I don't think that's dyslexia on your part. I think you're just being lazy.
No, it's not. It's a struggle.
Don't blame that on dyslexia.
Now you're down on handicap people.
No, I am not. Dyslexia is not necessarily about pronunciation.
Oh, it is, because my D's and B's and C's, they don't look right.
No, that's about switching it around.
Oh, you got dyslexia too?
It's about putting the proper emphasis on the right syllable.
Oh my goodness.
All right, so Lego Ninjago, the full title being Lego Ninjago Masters of Spinjitzu.
Yes.
Yes. Say that 10 times fast.
Spinjitzu. Yes, Spinjitzu.
So, essentially, these are Lego ninjas. We have taken Lego figures and we have animated them, and they run around. And
Ninjago is actually the world, just so you know. That's the world they exist in.
Yeah, they live in this world.
Right.
As you would assume, there's 4 of them, and then there's a 5th that's kind of a Padawan learner, and then there's like the master, and then there is the nemesis. And
well, I'd say that Lloyd, who is the green ninja, is the protagonist of the show, right?
I've watched the show over my son's shoulder.
Yeah.
A number of times. He's not necessarily. He's the focal point of this episode.
Okay.
he's sort of he sort of has the potential to be the protagonist, but he sort of jumps in and out. It's sort of really still a four-person buddy comedy ninja show.
But but it's serialized. It's not very episodic, right? Because there actually was like a previously on.
It's serialized, and again, just like lots of other shows, if you jump into this, you're going to be a little there's lots of backstories, not real deep backstories, but there is some explanation of certain stuff, and so just like a lot of shows, they want you to start from the very beginning. It's in its 5th season. It's on Cartoon Network, also on Netflix, our favorite. And yeah, so your thoughts, Mr. Kidney?
Well, so it's funny. I'll just cut right to the chase. It was okay. So it's cool. I really liked it. It's fun. It's got that classic Lego sense of humor, which is a little bit. It's sort of based in some form of reality, which is kind of that serialized pitch, right?
Yes.
Their mentor is actually kind of he's an anchor for the crew. So they've got these serious themes that are going on, and obviously you've got some heavy-duty villains that are trying to take these guys out, and there's nefarious plots and stuff like that. But it never leaves its Lego roots. I don't know, how many Lego video games have you played?
A couple.
Okay, so there again, it's really kind of there is a
goofy humor.
There is a very Lego style to it, which is like if you play Star Wars Legos or something, it'll say, "Here's the plot line for Star Wars," but it's not exactly Star Wars because they introduce their Lego elements to it.
There's a lot of slapstick type of stuff.
Yeah, and it's actually a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. In fact, this is the weird part for me that I had a disconnect with, which was I'm not exactly sure. This has nothing. It's just, how should I say this? It's not me saying you shouldn't watch the show. I just couldn't figure out why it's a Lego show. This could just be a show in general.
Yes.
But they've got the Lego label slapped on it. And what I didn't see that you do see in the video games is the creation element of Legos.
Correct.
Right? So I didn't see a whole lot of, like, they're kind of putting blocks together. And maybe you've seen that in other episodes. I just didn't see them doing a whole lot of Lego creation.
No, it's not like the Lego movie where that's sort of a theme here and there and everywhere.
Yeah.
It's not like Minecraft and that sort of thing where, it's not like the video games. In the video games, you're constantly building.
You're building, but it still carries that Lego humor and or type storyline. But so, what did you think?
I think what's hard about this type of content is, we've talked about this before, when you pair a franchise that's a toy with a entertainment medium. So now you've taken a popular toy and you've just turned it into a show.
Mm-hmm.
And one markets for the other and vice versa. So now you're selling the show, but you're also selling the products. Because if you go to Target, you're going to find Lego Ninjago sets.
Yep.
And in different scenes and all the characters and all.
We saw this with Rescue Bots too, and I'm sure there's a Ninjago this week. We introduced the purple golden ninja, right? And so, hey, next week, by the way, Target's going to have it on the shelf.
Right. And, Lego is the master at this. I mean, they are the kings of kind of cross-promotion, and they have all the big brands. They have Star Wars, they have Harry Potter, they have Lord of the Rings. I mean, they have just about everything. Oh yeah,
last week they came out with Lego Dimensions, which is every single brand they've gotten a hold of, from Wizard of Oz to Star Wars, are all combined into one gigantic Lego game.
Wow.
It's crazy. Like, you can play Captain America along Han Solo taking on the Wicked Witch of the West.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I sometimes wonder if when we watch shows based on toys, if there's sort of a softening to it. Like, we sort of give it the benefit of the doubt because it's Lego.
Sure.
I don't know if I've ever heard someone critiquing Legos as a toy. You know what I mean?
Sure, I know.
Mean, there's plenty of other toys, guns, toy guns, or violent action figures, or the proportions of Barbie and how she's this model, and we'd love to see dolls that are more normal looking, that sort of thing. There's always those types of critiques, but you don't really hear criticism of Legos. Mm-hmm. Particularly when you hear criticisms of prices of Legos because the sets are extremely expensive.
Oh, that spaceship from the Lego movie that I wanted. I went to Target. It was $99.99.
Oh, yeah.
$100 for that.
Well, have you ever priced some of the bigger Star Wars sets?
No.
The Death Star is $500.
Oh my word! Wow.
And you and I grew up in a time when you got Legos, you got this box of random bricks, and you might have had some random, some general instructions on some different things you could build, but it was really down to your creativity.
Mm-hmm. No, they were the Legos that we kind of grew up with were limited by, we've got maybe 12 different blocks, right? There was no weird block per se
right.
that does.
Right.
Here's one block that is obviously a wing now. We didn't have that. It was they actually had to think about, hey, we've got 12 blocks. How do we make a spaceship out of these 12 different block sets that we have?
So
not sets, but blocks.
Right. To your point, the show, when you watch it, it's kind of your standard good guys, bad guys. There's a goal, sort of. There's a moral at the end, sort of. It's pretty softball. There is some stylized violence, which doesn't necessarily feel like violence because it's little Lego figures fighting.
Sure. Oh, they're throwing people off the boat, right? They're throwing the snake men off the boat.
Right.
Who knows what happens to those guys, right? You can
right.
only assume that hopefully they threw a life preserver off the side.
And they do hand-to-hand combat with their evil counterparts. And at one point they play dodgeball, which is actually pretty funny.
Yeah.
Standard, lessons of good versus evil, good will win, good will triumph, that sort of thing. So, I don't know. I mean, you watch it and you kind of go, oh, it's Lego, that sort of thing. But at the same time, it's just kind of generic. It's just kind of generic. If you took the Lego brand off, is there really anything there aside from let's have a bunch of good guy ninjas fighting a bunch of weird snake people?
Yeah, it's called G.I. Joe.
Yeah. Well, really, it kind of is, right?
Yeah, no, you had Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow and
just
fighting Cobra Commander. Storm Shadow was on Cobra Commander's side, but...
Right. So, again, much like a number of other shows we've seen, it's just kind of a big Lego commercial.
Yeah, I mean... So I think we got into a little bit of this with, again, I'll bring Rescue Bots into it again, which is we've got this brand. I will say that let's throw some criticism at Legos. The only set that I now know that you can get that is not like this Star Wars Legos or Harry Potter Legos, I think they still sell City. I think the City set still exists, which is pretty much just the generic Legos that you can put together that's not, hey, I got Han Solo in the center of this thing, right?
No, but to your point, even those have very specialized pieces because it's not just going to be your standard Legos that we played with in the 70s. It's still going to be, this is definitely a plant.
Right.
This is definitely a shingle. This is definitely the door that goes to the barber shop, not the one that goes to the fire station.
So are you saying that possibly the parenting mistake or the thing that might come up here is that if your child sits down to watch Ninjago, you're probably going to get a child that comes to you in a week and says, hey, Dad, can I get Lloyd the Green Ninja?
Correct. And we could probably say that about a number of shows that have toy tie-ins. It's the chicken and egg thing. You just sort of say, as the popularity of the show grows. Now, again, it's not a guarantee. You may have kids that watch this on Cartoon Network that just aren't into Legos. They could care less about the Legos, building the Legos, that sort of thing.
Yep.
But if they are interested, there is ample opportunity for the parents to spend lots of money.
Yeah,
on
I
it.
do like the serialized effort that they put into the show. When I looked at the Wikipedia site, it looked like for the past 6 seasons, which again is pretty phenomenal for a show to make it past 3 seasons if you're a cartoon.
Right. A lot of shows get killed after.
It seemed like every season they've got some new villain or some new challenge that they've got to take on, and that's kind of cool. In fact, if I was a kid, I'd definitely be watching this show, right?
Well, it's kind of cool, but again, as you said, why do they have the new villains? Because so they can roll out
That's
new
right.
toy lines, right?
Totally.
So I think this is it. It's fine. It's just kind of there. It's a selling vehicle, basically.
Oof, that's rough. I mean, it's not completely devoid of humor. That Lego, if you like that Lego kind of style and sense of humor, I can't say it's not stylized. It's there. How about this? It is certainly no Lego movie.
Correct.
They're like almost completely two different things.
Right.
But I would say it lines up more with the Lego video games for sure.
Probably. That's all I got on this.
Yeah, me too. So what's next?
Twitter.
Yep.
Follow us on Twitter. Parent Mistakes. Please follow us. Seriously.
Yes.
Like, we don't just say this for our own health, because we'd love it if you follow us on Twitter.
Yep.
And like us on Facebook, Parenting Mistakes. We would love for you to like us. Please like us.
We're very likable.
We're very likable people.
It's true. It's
You should
true.
like us on Facebook and invite other people to like us. Until the next time.